Okay guys, hey, thought we'd just do this real quick video. We just got back from seeing the new Avengers Infinity War. Part 1, of course, this one is. As you can tell, we got our Iron Man and Spider-Man shirt on. But yeah, it was full on.
We enjoyed it.
I don't know if any of you guys have seen it yet. If you haven't seen it, this is going to have some spoilers in it, so
Spoiler warning.
don't watch it yet.
Yeah.
Go and see the movie and then watch this video. And chuck some stuff in the comments, questions, queries, whatever you reckon.
We'd love
Theories,
to get
of
back
course.
Yeah.
We've got some of our own, which we'll touch on in a second. But first thing is, for me, was going into this movie, I knew that someone was going to probably die. You know, it's a big movie, lots of people in it.
Plenty of theories out there of who's going to die.
A
Obviously,
few
a lot
people,
floats around on the internet, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, a few people have been doing the movies for a long time, and it's probably time for them to move on.
And as a lot of people know, the actors themselves, their contracts are coming up. With their contracts end, they might be saying, I want out, and this is the time where, they get them out.
But straight up, basically, and it looks pretty well permanent, with Loki dying by Thanos' hand. Not a bad way, I thought, with him trying to basically save his brother Thor, of course.
Yeah, where the trailer made it seem a bit more where he was betraying him. He was trying
straight
to
do
a heroic act, essentially.
So that was pretty full on, firstly, and then of course, skipping forwards, just so many people dying, which I mean you'll sort of get to when of course Thanos does inevitably, as you can expect, collect all the pieces and
get all
click his fingers, and essentially.
Goodbye.
The core Avengers group is still there, but
we lost a couple of key members that came in later on.
A few key members so far. We have a theory, and we'll get to that. We believe how they'll all come back, but I don't know. What was another thing for you, Khan, going straight into the movie?
Another thing. Well, one of the big things was just showing how powerful Thanos is. For one, the strength of him. Like the first scene you see him fight against Hulk. Like that I was sitting in my chair in awe. It was incredible.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't just like you have Hulk's brute strength, but he has no technique in his fighting style. So the second Thanos
is just as strong.
Yeah.
But actually dodging, weaving, punch, jab, knee.
Well, that's the thing. Complete takes him straight out.
And Hulk was just done. Basically.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Luckily, what's the guy's name that looks after the Rainbow Bridge and stuff? Anyway, he luckily, last thing he did before he died as well was teleport Hulk back to Earth, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, back to Earth to warn all the rest of the Avengers.
Which
then the broken up Avengers.
The broken up Avengers, yeah. Which then we bumped into, of course, Doctor Strange, and every other character basically was all straight into it in the first 40 minutes or so. Everyone was part of the movie at that stage. Half an hour really.
Yeah, we were missing a couple of players throughout the movie, which was like your Hawkeye and Ant-Man. We figured they would have been in there, but I'm guessing they're due for part 2.
Part 2, of course, yeah.
But
getting onto sort of later in the movie, obviously when he's gathered a few, he's had he got the soul, he's got the
power.
He's got the power, he's got the what's the first one?
Oh, it's the Tesseract. Yeah, the power, the soul, and he got the one floating the Tesseract, the space.
Space one, yeah. I think it's called space.
Yeah, it's the space. Yeah. Oh, simplified version is the space.
Space one, yeah. So he had all of those, and then of course we meet up with. This is where the theory comes in. We meet up with the guys. We got Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Doctor Strange fighting Thanos, and before Thanos gets there, Doctor Strange looks into the future at all the possible futures and to see if we
millions
and
millions of futures.
Yeah, 14,630,000 or something
like that, and one where
and there's one where they win, and that's all that's really said about that. You'd feel like if he knew the one, why wouldn't he just tell Tony Stark and go, "Oh yeah, in that one, we have to do this." I get that that's playing with timelines, and if you tell him, then maybe it doesn't happen and all those sort of things. But that's the only thing that's said about it. Of course, moving on though, you then get later on, Iron Man's in a bit of trouble, and stabbed, yep, and Thanos basically is going to kill him, and Doctor Strange says, and it makes sense a little bit more when you watch it with how he won't give it up and everything, but he will give up the Time Stone if Thanos lets Tony Stark, he says specifically, spare Tony's life, and I'll give you the time stone.
So obviously there's something in Strange's plan where it's going to involve Tony Stark. We need him surviving.
So we believe, and it doesn't say it, that the only reason he would give up the time stone, and he says it, he'd never give it up. If he was going to die, he would protect the time stone.
He would leave Spider-Man and originally he said Ed Stark behind, leave him to die.
But of course, the fact that he said, I will give you the time stone if you let Tony Stark live, is essentially suggesting that I believe that in that one reality that he saw, that it obviously involves Tony Stark, which leads me on to what you think from the comics of how he builds the...
of where there is a version where Stark builds a suit capable of harnessing the Infinity Stones, kind of like Thanos' gauntlet.
But of course, yeah, exactly. So harnessing the stones. Now, at the end of the movie, which we'll just jump to, is when he gets all the stones and he clicks his fingers to wipe out half the universe.
Yeah, practically.
Bringing balance, which is, he's not a bad guy. He's doing the thing.
It's a monstrous act, but it's a thing that works. If people that don't believe me, you can look up plenty of things. Genghis Khan did it when he wiped out over millions of people. It did stabilize the thing.
And it's
don't believe me? Watch Stephen Fry. He says the exact same thing.
Yeah, and it was even what was Kingsman, the first movie, a similar sort of thing. Of the wiping out people for the greater good. But when he clicks his fingers and does that, it's pretty harsh on Thanos. The gauntlet's pretty well melted and molten, fused to his hand, and
all up his arms, up his face, got a couple of scratches and scars. And
now, if that's doing that to Thanos, so we reckon that Tony will somehow build the thing, and do like a reversal type click fingers,
essentially an undo,
and it may even that will kill Tony Stark off.
That could be the way that they pretty much Robert Downey Jr. might be done, and that's how they could.
We think that he might go with him now. There's also the potential for it's not said that it is, but potentially that he has a child. Maybe it's sort of touched on, but denied, but touched on.
Yeah.
And maybe she will or he will become the next heir for
the Starks,
for the Empire, as it were. So
the Empire, it's a Star Wars thing coming down to rain on them.
So that's the main things. I don't know what else. Well, Hulk obviously wouldn't come back out during the movie.
You can tell after he got the, well, let's just say crap kicked out of him. He was kind of a bit afraid to come back out and give it another go. Hope that's obviously something that he's gonna have to work on towards the second one of getting him back out. One thing that I really did like is the development of Thor again. Is not just regaining a hammer, but creating the axe. Like that was impressive.
And seeing where these things are created, like these massive weapons, like
that it's not
awesome, but this is where they're created. And I thought it was quite funny that Peter Dinklage is in there as
a giant. Well, a giant dwarf.
They're the dwarves that forge these things, very Lord of the Rings, but he's like a giant, like I don't know how tall he'd be, maybe like 10 meters tall, but he looks like a dwarf, obviously, but he's big. So it's kind of funny, and I reckon Peter Dinklage would have liked the chance to be big. would have liked that. Would have
found it a little bit funny.
Yeah. Which is really cool. But yeah, creating the axe, which is actually part of really linking it with Guardians of the Galaxy, because it's Groot's arm.
Groot is the
handle.
It's actually one of the few things that Groot unfortunately doesn't, because he's in his teen years during the movie. He's very, I don't want to do this, screw you sort of attitude.
Which we'd learned that Thor speaks Groot,
which was interesting.
It was an elective at school when he learned it, which is a long time ago, considering that Thor we now know, and I didn't know this, is 1500 years old. So that's kind of cool. But I don't know. That's a few points. We don't want to make the video too long. We're already at about 10 minutes or so now.
One last thing I want to touch on is a couple of developments, obviously, throughout the characters that, Stark's new suit, obviously, the nanotech, all that. So it's essentially a insane beefed up version of what I see as Black Panther's thing.
It looks like he can basically create anything. I saw he had a shield, he had a sword, he had a gun, creates anything.
The massive hammers that he was using actually hit Thanos with and pin him and all that. Like, even though in the end didn't beat him.
We reckon
it actually did some damage.
It looks very
which was very impressive, and I liked it a lot.
Yeah, it looks very Wakanda technology.
Speaking of Wakanda, I was very surprised to see King of Wakanda disappear at the end. He was one of the people selected to
all the
fade.
People disappear.
And half of the people on Earth, he was part of that half. It was very surprising to see such a new character disappear so fast.
Yeah,
but I guess they've got to unfortunately clear away some of those actors and some of those characters to bring in the new ones for the second part, because obviously we assume Ant-Man, which then thinks it's going to be Ant-Man and the Wasp, the next movie. That's who's coming in.
Hawkeye will be in there, obviously.
Hopefully we get Hawkeye, yep.
And of course, if you watch after the credits, you'll see Nick Fury there. And then right before, he's sending help and, a distress signal to...
and we're assuming it's Captain Marvel.
The
symbol that appears is on the device just before, goes to black.
Which we'll get before the next part?
Yes, we'll go Ant-Man,
Captain
Marvel, and then part 2.
And then part 2.
Which will be hopefully around this time next year.
Yeah,
which is definitely looking forward to.
Well, we'll see how it goes, and obviously we'll do one of part 2 and all those sorts of things. In fact, we might do a few more of these movie ones.
If you got any queries, any theories of yourself that you have for the movie, any ideas of what you reckon part 2 will involve, or any likes or dislikes about the movie, please chuck them in the comments. Let us know.
And as always, we'll see you in the next one. And
hope you enjoy.
Hit that like, hit that subscribe. We'll keep doing some videos.
Yeah. All right. Bye.
Catch ya. It was pretty awesome. It was a good movie. Are we going again?